Hello and welcome to Pivik Pro YouTube video series. Topic of the video: enriching CDP profiles with data from Typeform survey via Zapier. In this video, you will learn how to set things up to enrich profiles in CDP using results from a survey. Moreover, we're going to take an advantage of ChatGPT to get the sentiments from a text response so we can have the data more structured within CDP. However, use of ChatGPT is optional. And while we're going to be using the Typeform as a platform example for collecting data from surveys, the idea could work similar with most such platforms. Okay, let's dive in. Okay, so what would be our use case for today's example? So let's say in here I have this demo banking website, and on this website, on this representation of the company that basically uses CDP, would be a bank, and that bank want to send a survey to prospects and clients. So we've created a survey in Typeform. Here's the first question. If I were to submit it, I would get to the second one. There's 4 questions only. And then we would like to upload that data into CDP after form submission. Now, the very first question is, tell us what you think about our company. So every person might answer that question in a different way. So it will be hard to use that kind of data across multiple profiles. So what we're going to do, we're going to ask ChatGPT to extract basically sentiment of that very text, whether it's positive or negative, and knowing that this positive or negative is much more structured rather than having just some random text every time when the survey is being submitted, when the form is being submitted. So that's what we're going to do with the very first question. So the very first step will be to go to CDP and go to data import and hit import data. In here we have a hook, webhook URL. Let's give it a name, data enrichment from Typeform. We're going to leave it as it is for now. And now let's go to Zapier and let's create a Zap. Let's give it a name, just going to use the same name, and let's select a trigger. So the trigger will be Typeform. And I've already connected Typeform with Zapier, so I don't need to do the very first step. So if you haven't done that, you would need to do it. Now in here, I'm going to select the trigger, and trigger will be when a form is being submitted. So whenever somebody fills in all the questions and submit the entire form, that's a trigger that will start the entire workflow. So let's click on it, and now let's hit continue. In here, we have a form. We need to select the form that we want Zapier to basically process. I only have one, and ID is UBJLF5P9. If you go to this particular form, you can see that that ID can be also seen here. So I know I'm processing the correct form. So I'm going to select it, and I'm going to hit continue, and I'm going to test the trigger, which basically going to send the either test data, or if the form was already submitted, that would be the most recent form submission that is here. And it's actually me that I've submitted. So in here, you can actually see the questions. So tell us what you think about our company. What is your email? That's another question. Have you taken a loan with our bank before? And I've selected mortgage. How likely are you to recommend us to the friend or colleague? So those are the 1, 2, 3, 4 questions of this survey. So let's hit on that. And now I want to ChatGPT to process this very first question, tell us what you think about our company, and return something that is more structured. We're going to use ChatGPT for that. So let's connect ChatGPT. Now I already connected ChatGPT with Zapier. You need your credentials to do that, more specifically API credentials. And then here we have action. So there's many things we can do with ChatGPT, but what we are interested in is analyze text sentiment. So I'm going to choose that. I'm going to hit continue, and in here, text to be analyzed. I want to submit the text from the very first question. So I'm going to click plus, and the question is, tell us what you think about your company, about our company. So tell us what you think about our company. So that'll be the text to process. And then here we have max tokens, so we can provide some limits to how many surveys will be processed. Here we're choosing the model. So there's different models that we can connect. I'm going to choose ChatGPT 4.0 mini. And in here we have a temperature. Temperature controls the creativity or randomness of the text generated by ChatGPT. If it's high, if the temperature is high, it's number between 0 and 2. If the temperature is high, the text that is generated is more diverse. worse. If it's lower, if the temperature is lower, the more deterministic is the output, i.e. we gain more structure. And in our case, that is what we want if we want different results to be comparable. Meaning, if we want to basically narrow it down, the sentiment to negative to positive, we need to lower that number. And I'm going to do 0.2 to have it rather structured. Top P, that is related to the tokens sampling. You can find more information about temperature and top P on ChatGPT's website. So I give you just a brief overview. So let's hit continue. And now let's skip the test. And we're not going to publish the Zap. We're going to add another step, which will be webhook, because we want to send that data. In first trigger, we're pulling data from submitted form. Here we process the very first question, which is this one, but the remaining questions are unchanged because they're very rather structured. It's either yes or no answers, or user can select specific answers. So it is structured by its nature. But in here, once it's all done, we want to send it to CDP, and we're going to be using webhook. So action event, post, let's hit continue. In here, we need to provide the URL. So we need to go back to CDP. Let's paste the URL. Payload type, we need to change it to JSON because that's the format that CDP accepts. And in here, we need to select the data. There's going to be 4 questions. First is a sentiment. So let's call data type sentiment. And a sentiment, that will be the answer. We don't want to get the answer from the Typeform. We want to process question by ChatGPT, and that will be the sentiment, right? So we're going to click on that. Let's add the value. Another one is email. That's one of the questions. And this time we want to take it from Typeform results. And in here, what is your email? So we need to select this one. Let's add another one, which is loan status. There will be question on whether the user used any sort of, have you taken a loan with our bank before? And there are a few questions provided, and depending on which one was selected, that's gonna be the data for our loan status key. So let's select this one. Let's add another value, which is NPS, which is Net Promoter Score. So we're asking a question, which is, how likely are you to recommend us to a friend or a colleague? And depending on the answer, which is from 0 to 10, again, we're going to have a structured data. So I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to hit continue, and I'm going to test the step, which means that we can now synchronize data here. So we then send the test data, or from in our case, that was the last survey that I've submitted beforehand. And now I can pair that data. So email, I'm going to select user ID because that based on user ID, we're going to link data from different sources, including the data in CDP. And email is the identifier that can be used across different systems in CDP, in survey, or perhaps other data sources that we may want to sync with CDP data. Loan status, we're going to select. We already created loan status attribute, so I'm going to select it. NPS. If I didn't have NPS, I could basically create NPS, but I do have one, so I'm just going to select it, NPS, and then sentiment. Again, I already have the attribute. Now in here, we have this message that the incoming value has a different data type than the selected attribute. This may affect your data's accuracy. It sends 10 as a string, but in here, NPS accept numbers. But we don't need to worry about it because CDP will parse it, so it's going to be changed to number. So whatever the NPS accepts. And I'm going to hit save. So we have one test profile that was sent. And now I can go to test whether our data enrichment works. I need to publish the Zap first and now go and answer the survey. So let's say, I love your bank. So tell us what you think about our company. So I love your bank. Okay, what is your email? So I'm going to say mikewalker@pivik.pro. Have you taken a loan with our bank before? So let's say I'm going to choose car loan. Okay, here another question is, how likely are you to recommend us to a friend or a colleague? And from 0 to 10. So let's say I'm going to choose 8 and let's hit submit. So that the form was submitted. We can check whether the data was sent. we can see it too. So I can see that the Michael Walker profile was enriched. Let's check if we have the values. Loan status, car loan, NPS 8, sentiment obviously positive because I said I love your bank. So we can see that the data enrichment from the Typeform with the use of ChatGPT and Zapier works.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to our channel. Check the description below to find some useful links like free Pivot Pro sign-up page, community forum page, and links to related videos. Until next time.